Hi, good morning guys, thanks for joining me. Hope everybody's well, hope everyone's having a nice week, and lovely to be back out again. Absolutely glorious day. I think they said it's going to be around about 30 degrees today, so quite warm. And for today's video we're going to carry on just doing a little bit of the work just at the back of the fire. I've just brought the wood down now so that we can just make a bit more of a windshield, and also I've got some wood so we can make a bit of a shelf or a bit of a table, that kind of thing. So typically it's going to be really hot, no doubt I'm going to be sweating. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but if you hear that buzzing sound, there's thousands of other flies about. I'm not sure if they're breeding or if they've just hatched or whatever. There's loads of small ones and quite big ones as well, just chasing after each other. So yeah, I've never seen so many in one place. So apologies for not being about last week. I was out with good friend Rick T, absolutely awesome guy, and Billy the dog. We went for a walk around Rudyard Lake and up onto the Roaches where he used to do a lot of climbing. Rick himself does a lot of climbing and kayaking and that kind of thing. I will leave the link to Rick's channel, absolutely awesome guy. He's always out doing interesting things like kayaking, he's into his bushcraft, also climbing, hiking and that kind of thing. So I'm just going to have this quick cup of tea, and then we're just going to make a quick start. But before I do, I just wanted to show you something which somebody sent me. And this is mainly for Rick. He did ask about it, and this was sent to me by a gent over in Australia, and his channel's called Orion, so hope you're keeping well. I'll just pan the camera down, just give you a closer look. And what he sent me is this little tinder box or tinder tube, originally designed over in South Africa, called a Tonteldoos, and I think that's the region in South Africa. So basically made out of a length of copper tubing. I'd perhaps say that's around about 4, maybe 5 inches. The diameter of the tubing is around about, I'd say, an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, something like that. And just on the end, he's just put a couple of copper end caps with some shot cord that runs through it. That's just so that you don't lose just the end caps just off the tube itself. I've actually seen some made in a slightly different way, where you can put your flint on there and also your steel on there as well. And that's the idea behind it, really, is mainly used for flint and steel sets. So one time I have seen them with rope running through them. I think they were called a slow match or something. But what Orion's done for me with this one is actually put a full roll there of charred cloth, and then you can just ignite that just by flint and steel set, or perhaps with a magnifying glass. I'll just have a quick go just with a magnifying glass, just see how well it goes up, and then you just hold that into your tinder bundle, blow it into flame, and then once you've used the bit of tinder cloth, so the bit of charred cloth for your tinder, you then just put the cap on, that'll extinguish it, and it's good for next time. So again, I just want to thank Orion for those of you which are interested in these kind of things. Very simple to make, just a piece of copper tube in there, a couple of end caps and some shot cord, and that's going to keep with your charred cloth or rope. Like I'm saying, you could put cotton rope in that, just burn one of the ends down just to char it, and then you could use it in a summer kind of manner. So just taking advantage of the sun. So I know it's going to be hot, but it is quite overcast. Just a couple of seconds with the magnifying glass, and that's now taken. So you could just put that just in your tinder bundle, just blow it into flame, and then, like I say, once you've finished, you can just pop just the end caps back on. See that there glowing away, and then that will just snuff it out and just extinguish it. Just very hot at the moment, so I perhaps wouldn't put that away, just leave it out just to cool. But a nice, simple, cool idea. So again, I just want to thank Orion, and I will leave the link to Orion's channel. He's very much into this kind of thing, and also flint and steel, more primitive kind of fires and that kind of thing. So right, that's enough fun and games. You better crack on and do a bit of work. Okay, so the first thing which we're going to do, like I say, we've got all the wood now for the walls and also for the posts. So we're just going to just point off the posts, and we're going to knock just a couple of those in, and then we can start laying out and cutting the walls itself, some of this wood is a little bit rotten at the end, so we'll get rid of all that. Like I say, I'm going to build the wall up. Then the next thing which we're going to do once the wall's been constructed is I'm going to figure out a way of how we're going to put a table in there. So what I may do is, once the wall's been built, just kind of feed just the tabletop just through the wall itself, and then put a couple of legs down. Just going to have to see just how well it balances. And then for the tabletop itself, I was going to split the wood down, and then we're going to do a couple of those keyhole notches and put the sun shoots through. But just to save a little bit of time, I can do that at a later date. I might just lay just the tabletop on there, see how it looks, and just see how strong it is. If I do need to support it with any kind of joints and that kind of thing, we can do that on the way, but also at a later date. So the first thing is get these pointed up. So before we start putting any points just on the uprights, the first thing we want to do is just get them to the right length. So I haven't brought a tape measure out with me. What I brought is a measuring cord, and they're very simple to make. I've been using these for years, especially on the fisheries. So just kind of tape measure with you, and then all you need to do is just measure off things, and then if you do want a precise measurement, you can then just run it against the tape measure just to see what it is. But this one at the moment is 6 foot long, and I've got a knot at the end. And then there's a knot there at 12 inches, I've got another knot there at 24 inches, so a 1 foot and a 2 foot. And then if you wanted to do that all the way up, you could do. But what I've done on this one, I'm not sure the camera's picking it up, I've just got there this sheath from a piece of orange paracord, and that can be slid up and down, so I've just run it just against the height of the other poles, just slid it up to the length, so you know then that that's the length that needs to be cut. And then you just roll it up, put it back in your pocket, nice and light to carry. Also it means there you've got a spare piece of cordage if you need it. So I'm just going to cut them down, point them off. And then once you've done one, you can just put the others just next to the side of it. And those aren't too bad. So now just using the axe, we're just going to put just a quick point on them. What you tend to find with a lot of wood, it tends to taper. So the fatter end up the top here, I'm just going to quickly just taper down just the thinner end. And also if you've got any knots, just take those off as well. It'd just be easy then just to bang them just into the ground. The ground's not too bad here, but just out of habit it's worth just knocking them off. So now those are done, we can go up and start knocking them in the ground. So I'm just working out the angle and also the length. Some of these are shorter than others and some are fatter than others. So what I want to do is put the bed of wood at the bottom, so this isn't too bad, because obviously the moisture is going to start rotting the wood which is touching the ground first of all. So if you put some decent wood down, it's going to take longer to break down than obviously if you put some rotten wood down in the first place. So that's the angle. That is going to be the length. We're going to go with that piece there. So just making sure that everything tucks in okay. And just give it a few knocks to get it going. So once you've got a couple set in position like this, you can now start looking at the wood itself. You can turn it around just to make sure that you haven't got large gaps so that the wind can blow through it. And also you want to position your wood so that some of the fatter wood is at the top. If all your fatter wood's at the bottom, you tend to find that they'll open up at the top here and all your smaller sticks end up dropping down to the bottom there. So it's just a case of playing about really, just now trying the different pieces of wood just to see which fits best in position, and then we can cut them down to size. Then we can start putting the front uprights in and then fasten them around the top. So it's not looking too bad. Now I've got obviously a lot more wood here to choose from. So then it's just a case of just making a saw mark, cutting it to size and fitting it in place. Okay, so I've just started now just putting the wall together. I've just knocked a peg just in the front just to stop things from rolling about. And also, if you notice, if you have a fat piece on one side, if you alternate it so you put the fat piece on the other side, it then starts to level it up instead of it being high at one end and dropping down at the other. So that's the height, it matches the others. I'm just going to knock just the other posts in now, and then we can start taking off just some of the layers so we can have a look at putting this table in. Okay, so that's me thinking so far. I've just spent probably about half an hour on it, and that's going to be the frame. I can tie them off just to the uprights, which is going to stop the back from lifting up. So the idea behind it is now we can just put some sort of tabletop just like so. If I need to cut anything else, I can find it. That's also going to block a bit of an hole up, and we can just carry on just building up just at the back, and then we can tighten everything up just at the top here. Okay, so that's the structure now put together. Just see if I can just close that little bit of a gap up. That looks like that's the best you can do. So that's the tabletop on now. We'll bring the camera around in a second, but like I say, the next job is to lash these tops here, which is just going to have to close everything up, just have to pinch everything together. So if I've got some bank line, something nice and strong. I need to put quite a bit of force just on those two there, just to stop them from opening up and just so we don't lose any of the wood down at the back. So I've pulled quite a bit of cord off. There's nothing worse than starting a job and then not having enough to finish it. So just a quick clove hitch just around the back one. And then we've got to try and close that up. Just like so. That's the beauty about this bank line. You can put quite a lot of pressure on it and you know it's not going to snap. That's got that perfect, that's nice. If you wanted to, you could wrap a toggle just on the inside just to pull against the toggle, but you got workman's hands, you could do it with your hands, no problem. So that's that one done. Just going to tie that off, and I'm just going to do the other side. Just to help with a bit more pressure, you can do like we did on the tripod. So this part in the centre here, we could do some frapping wraps. So I'm just going to go over the top of it, and that'll draw that tight, which will pull that in even tighter. So I may as well just use that bit of cord up, just working away now to the back. Just pull that tight, and then we can just tie that off. And that's the main frame, nice and secure. So there we have it, one table and the other part with this windshield finished off, and that doesn't look or feel too bad. It's just going to make it now possible, if I'm cooking, I can keep my utensils, my food and that kind of thing just out of the dirt basically, just on any way it's nice and dry. But also taking a look at it, it also might make a chair. Let me just see if I can sit on it without it collapsing. How about that? That's perfect. Nice and comfortable, just the right height. Not too far away from the fire. I can see this taking over from the other chair. Beautiful. Nice bit of sun coming down now. Get myself a suntan. Well, like I say, the idea for today was to come down just to finish this windbreak off and make this a little bit of a table, so that's that done. Hopefully next time we come out we'll have an overnighter, get some of this stuff used. But I think for the next week or so they forecast thunderstorms and heavy rain, so probably the week after, something like that. So like always guys, I just want to thank everyone for stopping by like always. Until next time, you take care and I'll see you again.